Welcome back, students. So in the last lecture we discussed about what perception is. So perception is a combination of sensation plus our past experiences that makes up our perception. In that, then we saw bottom up versus the top down processing. So bottom up starts with the parts of any object or the places, and then we see it as a whole. So that is a bottom up. The top down is the opposite of what the bottom up processing is. So we will see that in detail. So we'll start with the top down process today. So what you can see in this particular picture, if your answer is butterfly, can you tell me how the butterfly is? It is very colorful. Okay, so what has happened here is the top down process. In top down process, what happens is we work from general to specific. So we will see the big picture first, and then we will understand the tiny details. So that happens in top down processes, whereas in the bottom up process it is opposite of it. So over here in the top down process, you figure it out as a whole that yes, it is a butterfly, and then you will go to the specific speciality of any particular butterfly that you will come across. So you will say that yes, it is a common mormon, or it is any blue butterfly. Okay, so you are going to start seeing as a general, and then you are going to move to the specific, and that is top down processing. So we will read what the top down processing is to understand it in much detail. Top down processing is when we form a perception starting with the larger object, concepts, or ideas before working our way toward more detailed information. So it is just not related to any particular object, but it is also related to any concepts or any ideas. So if you have any creative ideas, or if you are working on any particular project, so you are going to see it as a whole, and then you are going to divide it or do a detailed work or detailed research on it, and that is known as a top down processing. In other words, top down processing happens when we work from the general to the specific, the big picture to the tiny details. In top down processing, your abstract impression can influence the information that you gather through your five senses. So in top down processing, it is mostly related to our abstract imagination. Abstract means things that are not physically present. So you are going to think up in your mind what could be the details about this particular thing and how you can work over it. So that is the top down process. It starts from general and it goes to the specific, whereas in bottom up process it goes from specific to the general. Imagine that you are driving down an unfamiliar street and you see a sign for a convenience store. The sign has a several missing letter, but you are still able to read it. Okay, so many a times it happens that the signboard is not proper and it has some of the alphabet missing in it, but still you can read that word entirely, and it is because of this top down process. So you are seeing that word as a whole rather than saying that it has only few letters in it. Okay, so if it is a word a junkyard, so if u is missing in it, still you are going to represent it or say it that it is junkyard. You are not going to say that it is jnk yard. Okay, so that is how the top down process occurs. Okay, can you tell me what are the symbols you can see over here? So first one you can see is L, second one H, and third one B or 13. Okay, so we will see why. If you have seen B, then it is a top down process. So most of you have perceived the third stimulus given above as a letter B instead of number 13. This happens because of the top down processing. What they are meaning to say over here is that since L was a letter, H was a letter, so what happens is our brain perceives this particular the last image as a whole. Okay, so it studies the general part of it, and thus it says that it is B and not letter 13. In case if you have answered it as letter digit 13, it means it is because of the of your past experience. So we saw the same image over here. Okay, see here you told that it is 13. So maybe because of your past experience, you told it as 13 rather than saying it as B. And those who have told it as B, it is a part of top down processing. Okay, so I hope you are clear with what the bottom up and the top down process is. Bottom up starts from very specific to general, and top down, so from very general to down, that is narrowing or specific details are being studied. So that is a top down processing. So these are the few differences between the bottom up and the top down. Bottom up is data driven, focuses on incoming sensory data, takes place in a real time. Top down info is interpreted using the contextual cues, uses previous experiences and expectations. So these are the difference between the top down and bottom up process. Now next we are going to move to the most interesting part of perception topic, that is perceptual organization. So there are various laws of perceptual organization. How we perceive any particular image or any particular object, place or situation is all based on our laws of perceptual organization. So there are around 10 to 12 laws which are not mentioned in your textbook. You can go on your Google and you can see what are the other laws of perceptual organization. Today we are going to cover only 4 laws of perceptual organization. Our brain has a tendency to organize our sensation as a meaningful whole. This was explained for the first time by a German psychologist Max Wertheimer in 1923 in the form of laws of perceptual organization. Some of the laws of perceptual organization are as follows. So what did this psychologist Max Wertheimer explained is that we have the tendency, humans have the tendency to see anything as a whole, or to derive anything as a wholeful meaning. Okay, so if I say that in front of me there is a chair or there's a table or there's a laptop, so I know it is a laptop because I have seen it as a whole. I won't say it that if there are few buttons to it, there is a touchpad, there is a screen. I won't describe anyone that I have those things in front of me. Rather than that, I would say simply that I have a laptop in front of me. Right? So that is what this laws of perceptual organization Max Wertheimer tried to explain, that any person would perceive through his senses and give the meaning of meaningful as a whole to the entire object rather than its part. So any person always uses the top down processes in his life, that is from general to the specific, for entirely whole to the specific. So he gave this laws in 1923. So this is the psychologist Max Wertheimer, who gave the laws of perceptual organization in year 1923. Okay, so before going ahead, tell me which one you find it in the groups. Okay, so the left image, you find that all the dots are at the equal distance, whereas on the right side there is a gap, and that is why you can perceive that there are the two lines of three pairs each, right? So you are grouping the grouping the image of the right side rather than grouping the image of the left side, just because it has a gap in it. Okay, so that is the law of proximity. According to this law of perceptual organization, the stimuli that are near to each other are perceived together than the stimulus that are far away from each other. So that is what we did in this particular image, that stimulus that are together are perceived as one. So we could imagine on the right side that there are total three groups of dots of two lines each. Okay, so that is a law of proximity. It is also explained in your textbook with this particular example. In this figure, we perceive the pair of dots in each line because the dots which are near to each other are perceived together. So instead of perceiving a line of 8 dots, generally a line of 4 pair of the dots is being perceived. Okay, so we can perceive only four dots, and we have grouped them together rather than we are saying it as a line of 8 dots. So that is the law of proximity. Okay, next tell me what is the differences you can see over here. What grouping can you make on the first image? Okay, we can say that there's a difference in the color over here. So you're grouping as purple dots as one and the pink dots as another. In the second image, we can group as square as a one group and the circle as one group. And in the third image, we can either divide them in the way they have the colors or the shapes. Okay, so what is happening over here? We are using the law of similarity. According to this law, perceptual organization, the stimuli that are similar to each other are perceived together than the stimuli that are distinct from each other. So the stimuli which were looking same, we grouped them together. So over here in the third image, we had a little difficulty to group the image because over here the star is only single star and we don't even have triangle over here. We don't have the square also in the last image, right? So it was difficult to group over here, whereas the first and the second image we could group it easily because they have the quality of similarity. Fine, so we'll see the other examples. So we can see over here there is a group that we can keep crosses as the one group, and we can keep the circle as the another group. Okay, so in this figure we perceive the four alternate vertical lines, each of circle and crosses are similarly stimuli are perceived together. Generally we do not perceive four horizontal lines, each having circle and crosses in the alternate sequence. Okay, so over here we can see that we are using a law of perception, that is law of similarity. Now can you tell me which line would get continued further? So it is whether it would go upwards or whether it would go downwards. Most of you have answered it, it would go upwards. So that is why the next law is said to be law of continuity. We'll understand it and then I will go back to that image. According to this law of perceptual organization, there is a tendency to perceive a stimuli and a continuation according to its established direction. According to this law, when two stimuli intersects, the continuation of its stimulus is perceived apparently. Okay, so over here there is an intersection point. Over here you can see the dark blue dot would be the intersection point, but still we can see that the upward is been more in the continuation rather than the downward, because there is a difference between the color, that is a light blue and dark blue color. You will understand much in detail with this example. In this figure, a straight vertical line and a straight horizontal line are perceived together as a letter L, right? So you can see that black line over there. So it has been perceived as one line and it is said to be letter L. And the cutting line is perceived separately as a line following the smoothest part. So the pink line, you can see that it is a separate line. Okay, so we do not perceive your four different lines going in the four different directions. No one would ever say the black line is going upwards, the another black line is horizontal, and one pink line is going towards the right and one pink line is going toward downwards. No one is going to say like that. What we will say is letter L is been intersected by pink line. Okay, so now why we are seeing it like this? Because we can see that there is a dot over there and there is an intersection that is occurring over here, and that is what the law of continuity is. Now can you tell me what this image is? What can you see over here? Panda. Okay. Next, what can you see over here? Logo of Apple company or Apple. Okay, can you tell me what is written over here? USA Network TM. Okay, now be careful and tell me what you can see over here. Can you see a world map or can you see a dog? So in case if you're saying it is a world map, then you are not apt with the world map. You need to study the world map. So if you are seeing it is a dog, then let's see what's ahead. So now what happened over in the few images is that your brain used the law of closure to understand those pictures. According to this law of perceptual organization, there is a tendency to perceive an incomplete stimulus in a complete manner. So what we did is this, all the images were incomplete. Okay. See, over here there's a gap on the head of the panda. His back is also incomplete. Over here the apple, it is incomplete. Over here the S, USA's S is again incomplete. Over here all the dots are been scattered and again the image of the dog is incomplete. But what our brain has done, it has automatically completed that particular image. Our brain has filled up the gaps in an incomplete stimulus and we perceive it as a meaningful figure. Now why we can perceive it as a meaningful figure? Because of our past experience. So you know how the Dalmatian dogs look like. You know that it can't be UA, it would be obviously a USA. You are familiar with the logo of Apple or the shape of Apple because of your past experience. Then again you are familiar with the photo of panda, that how does the panda looks like, because you have seen him in the photo, video, or maybe in reality, right? So this is the law of closure that is used. Our brain fills up the gap automatically to give it the meaningful, to perceive it as a meaningful figure. Okay, same way over here you can see that the first image you will say it that there are no three lines over there, it is triangle shape, and second shape is of the square one, right? You won't say that those lines are next to each other. So what is happening over here, our brain is automatically filling up the gaps, and that is law of closure. So with this said, I hope you're clear with all the laws of perceptual organization as well as what the perception means. Okay, so if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me. Bye, take